Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into a critical aspect of the European Union Artificial Intelligence Act, its scope and jurisdiction. In other words, who does this act actually apply to? This is Lesson 1.4, and understanding this is fundamental to navigating the entire regulation. Think of it like this. Laws don't apply to everyone, everywhere, all the time. There are boundaries. The EU AI Act is no different. So, a key question we need to answer is, if an AI system is operating outside the European Union, is it still subject to this act? The answer, as you might expect, is it depends. Let's start with the geographic scope. The most straightforward application is to providers who are placing AI systems on the market within the European Union. This means if you're selling or making available an AI system in the EU, you're in.
It doesn't matter if your company is headquartered in Berlin or Bangalore. If you're putting it on the EU market, the Act applies. Similarly, if you are a user of an AI system and you are located within the European Union, the Act applies to you. So, a hospital in Spain using an AI-powered diagnostic tool is clearly covered. A bank in France using AI for fraud detection is also covered. Location, in this case, is the determining factor. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Let's consider a US company that develops an AI-powered customer service chatbot. This chatbot is used by businesses in France to interact with their customers. Even though the US company isn't in the EU, because its AI system is being used within the EU and impacting EU citizens, that US company is subject to the EU AI Act. So we have three primary scenarios: providers placing AI on the EU market, users of AI systems within the EU, and crucially, providers and users outside the EU, where the output of their AI system is used in the EU. This last point is key to understanding the Act's broad reach. Next, let's talk about what constitutes an AI system under the Act. The definition is intentionally broad. It encompasses a wide range of software developed using various techniques.
These include machine learning approaches, like the neural networks that power many image recognition systems. It also includes logic and knowledge-based approaches, like expert systems that use a set of predefined rules to make decisions. Think of a system that helps diagnose equipment malfunctions based on a set of if-then rules. That's covered, and it includes statistical approaches. Now, it's important to note that a simple statistical analysis tool, something that just calculates averages, for example, isn't likely to be considered an AI system under the Act on its own. However, if that tool is integrated into a larger system that does perform AI functions, then it could be pulled in. So, to recap, an AI system for the purposes of this Act is a pretty broad category. A machine learning model that predicts customer churn? Covered. A rule-based expert system used in manufacturing? Covered. A simple spreadsheet doing basic calculations? Probably not, unless it's part of a larger AI system. Now let's move on to what's not covered. The Act has some specific exclusions. One of the most significant is for AI systems developed or used exclusively for military purposes. This makes sense. National defense is generally treated separately in legal frameworks.
So, an AI-powered drone system used solely for military reconnaissance is excluded from the scope of the EU AI Act. Another important exclusion is for AI systems used for scientific research and development before they are placed on the market. This is designed to encourage innovation. Imagine a university developing a new AI algorithm for medical imaging. As long as it's purely for research and not being sold commercially, it's excluded. But the moment they try to commercialize it, the Act kicks in. There are also some other, more nuanced exclusions, such as for personal, non-professional use. If you're tinkering with AI at home as a hobby, you're likely not going to be subject to the same regulations as a company deploying AI at scale. Now, We come to one of the most important and potentially far-reaching aspects of the Act: extraterritoriality. This is where things get really interesting, and where many non-EU companies need to pay close attention. The EU AI Act has what's called an extraterritorial reach. What does that mean? It means that even if your company is based outside the European Union, if your AI system affects individuals within the EU, or if the output of your system is used in the EU, the Act can still apply to you. Let's consider a US-based social media platform. This platform uses AI to moderate content, to filter out hate speech, for example. If that platform is used by people in the EU, then the AI system used for content moderation is subject to the EU AI Act's provisions, particularly those related to prohibited AI practices and high-risk systems. Here's another example.
Imagine a Chinese company that develops AI-powered facial recognition technology. If that technology is marketed and sold to businesses in the EU, even though the company is based in China, it must comply with the EU AI Act. Let's take it a step further. A Canadian company uses an AI to generate marketing materials, things like ad copy and images. If those marketing materials are used in campaigns that target EU citizens, even if the AI itself never touches EU soil, the Canadian company is subject to the EU AI Act. The output is being used in the EU, and that's the trigger. This extraterritoriality is a big deal. It means that companies around the world, regardless of their physical location, need to be aware of the EU AI Act and its potential implications.
It's not enough to just say, we're not in Europe, so it doesn't apply to us. So what does this mean for non-EU entities in practice? What are the practical considerations? First, you need to conduct a thorough compliance assessment.
This involves determining whether any of your AI systems or the outputs of those systems fall within the scope of the Act. Are you selling AI into the EU? Are EU citizens using your AI-powered services? Is the output of your AI being used in the EU? Second, you need to identify the specific requirements that apply to your AI systems. Are they classified as high risk? Do they fall under any of the prohibited categories? This requires a careful analysis of the Act's provisions. Third, you need to implement the necessary measures to ensure compliance. This might involve changes to your AI system design, your data governance practices, your transparency policies, and more. It's a significant undertaking. And finally, you need to be aware of the potential consequences of non-compliance. The EU AI Act includes provisions for significant fines, potentially up to a percentage of a company's global turnover. So non-compliance is not an option. To summarize, the scope and jurisdiction of the EU AI Act are broad and complex. The Act applies to providers placing AI on the EU market, users within the EU, and, importantly, to providers and users outside the EU, where the output of their AI system is used in the EU.
The Act defines AI system broadly, encompassing a wide range of technologies, but also includes specific exclusions, such as for military applications and research and development before market placement. The extraterritorial reach of the Act is significant, impacting non-EU companies whose AI systems affect individuals in the EU or are used within the EU. For non-EU entities, compliance requires careful assessment, identification of applicable requirements, implementation of necessary measures, and awareness of the potential consequences of non-compliance. This is a crucial area to understand, and it's essential for any company, anywhere in the world, that is developing or using AI that could potentially impact the European Union.